Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video. Welcome back to a Q&A. So again, typically used to do these like once a month. We haven't been doing them once a month recently, but I think we did do one last month, so that's good. But the reason why I do these Q&As is because a lot of people have questions, and if they want to ask it, I do generally answer a lot of questions when I stream anyway. But it's just it's a confined place where it kind of like makes sure questions are asked and answered, so it's not a bad thing. So I'm doing this one live right now on Twitch. So the Twitch audience, if you've got questions, throw them in the chat. Just throw it in once. You don't need to spam it. You know, it might take me a while to get through the comment section or the chat right now, but we will, and we'll probably record for 20 minutes to half an hour, give or take. But the first question, and what prompted me to do this Q&A, was Summat's Up. Yeah. I think I butchered that name. Do I think people are roaming so much to try and have an impact on other lanes before they lose, rather than sticking to the lane and scaling? Yes and no. I do completely understand, you know, even with what I've gone through on the main account recently, I understand that helpless feeling of when you're in mid or when you're in bot, or whatever lane it is, every lane, and you're in top lane and my bot's feeding, what do I do? Or you're playing support and my mid's feeding, what do I do? Well, one of the basic things you can do is you go to that lane and you try to help it. So I do understand part and parcel of why people are roaming so much. Very well may be that philosophy of I can go help them and I can try make the game better. The problem, I think, with it, and the negative, is let's say you're playing a support and you're roaming so much to mid lane that just, you know, your mid laner is already 0-2 at 7 minutes in the game, which isn't great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. But you're like, oh, I'm going to go help mid lane. The problem that you've got is then suddenly, sure, your mid laner might stop feeding. They, you know, they're not going to go 0-3 or 4 or 5. They're going to stop dying because you are there to help them. But that then pretty much stops your lane winning. And one of the easiest ways to climb, and I've always said this, and most people will, is you win your role. So if you're playing top, win your role. If you're playing jungle, win your role. If you're playing support bot lane together, beat the enemy bot lane. And if you're actively over roaming, you're not really going to achieve that most of the time. You can occasionally, because one of the weird things that happens, especially with bot lane roaming, is you roam as a support. Well, that's then giving solo XP to your AD carry, as long as they don't die, because obviously you're making them more vulnerable if you're roaming. So on one hand, I 100% see the philosophy of roam to help them, but on the flip side, it also does have that negative that, yes, you might stop, you know, it's kind of like a river drowning. You might stop that river flooding by you blocking that river and stopping it, but then another river floods because of it. So it's not as certain as like yeah, it's definitely a good or a bad thing. It is situational, but yeah. Next up, we've got, what are my thoughts on Jinx from Hextech Jinx? She's a good champion overall. I think she's a very solid AD carry. I don't have literally any issues with that champion. I think she is, you know, she's fundamentally, she's an AD carry. You know, she's a very much an AD carry, that she's about positioning and right clicking. Yeah, her spells are important, but it is more about that, getting that repositioning, getting the big crits, the big rockets, and going crazy with your passive. I think she completely lives up to the character design, and that's overall a good thing. Like, Jinx is, to me, one of the good examples of character design when it meets aesthetic meets gameplay. Jhin, to me, is the ultimate version of that. He is his gameplay and aesthetic are one, but no, Jinx is pretty cool. Why is Riot doing a bunch of melee AD carry instead of characters like Jinx? From Hextech Jinx again. I actually had I have an inkling to this, actually. So this is actually something I can speak of, which is good, because it was spoken about in the dev meeting I was in for Neela. So someone actually asked that question, and this is like where things just, you know, your mind catches thoughts that you kind of forget about. When I made the Neela video, I didn't really say this, but we had the devs in the chat, obviously, and they were going through the new champion, and there is Q&A after they kind of tell us about the champion and all about it. And someone did say, you know, why a melee AD carry? And basically what Riot said was, we want, in pretty much every role, we want characters of the different archetypes in every single role. So, for example, why was Akshan made predominantly as a mid laner? Well, he is an AD carry that's designed mid. So suddenly there's an archetype AD carry you can play in mid. You know, why are some mages okay in top lane? Well, there's mages you can play in top lane. Why is there an assassin pike support? Well, you can play an assassin support. They want to have every role, have every archetype. So the fundamental reason why you're maining a role or not maining a role isn't, oh, they don't have the character design or type I like in that role. They want to make it that every role has every type of champion. So that's why Neela is, or, you know, a lot of the more modern champions, you know, Neela, even held Samira a little bit, they are melee because there haven't been melee AD carries before. You know, Yasuo can go there, but he's not designed for there. Neela is designed for there. So that is literally the answer I got straight from a dev. So hopefully that answers that. Next up, it's from Shmeon. Since champs are getting a lot of mid-scope updates to refresh their kits and somewhat modernize, would you then consider champs like Ari, Swain, and Olaf modern champs? If you do, think that does that, or if so, do you think that detracts from their skill? Yes and no. It's a very interesting question. So again, fundamentally, I do think a lot of the modern champions are very strong, and that's probably why Shmeon asked this question. And a lot of the more modern champions are, I believe, are less skillful than their older counterparts because the new ones have so much in them. As for the mid-scope updates, I think it's not as completely black and white saying, you know, all of them are OP or all of them are not. Obviously, again, for modern champions, it's not like that either, but it's just fundamentally, you know, you can literally see a difference maybe in the last 2 to 3 years of champions and not. What I would say is most of the mid-scope updates, have definitely modernized the champions with an air, like a sprinkling of the unhealthy. But that is the funny thing, is somewhat it's needed. You know, that's the crazy thing, is when you do compare old champions to new, they are fundamentally worse. Like, they can still do okay. Like, you know, Anivia, she's an old champion, but she can still do well. You know, it's not like it's going to hold you back as a player. It's just, in my opinion, harder to climb with something like Anivia than it is something modern like Viego. There's just a difference. You need to be a little bit better if you're playing an older champion to have that same level. So for the other champions that have had these mid-scope updates, they're not the full hog, brand new champion kind of crazy, has too much, but they've been modernized enough to be more at the same level as those modern champions. But they're not the full way there. And that, in my opinion, that is kind of it. You know, yes, I think, hell, even Swain, he definitely has his problems. Severe has her problems, but a lot of them, obviously, they do get nerfed. You know, Riot, I will say, aren't the best at balancing something that has just been designed. It is worth knowing that a lot of people group 2 dev groups together that they're not together. Champion designers and balance team are completely separate, and you cannot blame the balance team, even though a lot of us do. You cannot blame the balance team for something like Viego or Yone or something that you feel just isn't fair. It's not the balance team. They sometimes are given champions that are very, very hard to balance. That's not their job. You know, it was very famous, a designer who is now working on the MMO, certainly T, he was very famous saying, I don't do the balance. I don't care for the balance. That's their job. I make a crazy champion. They can balance it, but some of them are nearly unbalanceable. And unfortunately, what it seems, a lot of the new champions, at least, they've completely taken that ethos. Riot has completely taken that ethos of make crazy champions and hopefully it'll be fine for the balance team, which obviously isn't that fair for the balance team. But anyway, next up, let's see. Do I think turning chat off in League helped my mental in-game a lot? Yes, 100%. 100%. I don't know, obviously, well, I think it'll help any player. I genuinely think chat is just not worth having in League, and I actually think a lot of the time it's more detrimental and it hurts you climb rather than helps you climb. But especially for, I would say, me as a streamer, and that's obviously the more, you know, individual angle that might not be the same for everybody. But when I have a Twitch chat and then I've got an in-game chat, you know, my Twitch chat 99.9999% of the time is very positive and supportive, etc. But you do get the occasional people that aren't, whatever. And unfortunately, the way of content and, you know, my brain is I will sometimes pick out of 100 positive comments, the negative one will get to me. And that's just me, unfortunately. So having Twitch chat and then lolling game, it was just sometimes a bit too much. And let's be honest, you know, my Twitch chat is 99.999% of the time positive. League of Legends chat is 99.999% of the time negative. It's the opposite. So to me, it's just not worth having. So I think League became a better game, the fact that you don't need to deal with the chat. And that is sad. It's a multiplayer game and you don't really communicate in that standard way. But I play League of Legends for the mechanics, not the communication. Next up by Thorkin is, what pick do I think is underrated but good in your ELO? Ooh, so again, like Diamond 1/Master, what pick do I think is good but underrated? Anivia, like as dumb as it sounds, like I do genuinely think Anivia is really strong in the right hands. I have had a more difficult time playing Anivia when we're in Master. It's worth knowing, you know, hilariously, a lot of my games in Master as Anivia weren't too good. I get demoted, I'm in Diamond 1, and I play an amazing game of Anivia. She is fundamentally weak, I think, against better players, and that is one of the negatives of the champion, because she is so immobile. But Anivia is definitely strong. Obviously, there might be some personal bias in that, because I just like the champion, but I do think she's really powerful. Like, I'm not saying a lot of people who main champions always try to underplay their champion strength. They go, oh, the champion's weak, because they don't want to get the champion nerfed. I think the opposite. I actually think Anivia is really strong. So, yeah. Next up is what my opinion to enchant support. Do I feel... Okay, basically, what is my opinion about enchanter supports? Do I feel they're fun playing those champions? Fundamentally, no. They are not my playstyle, usually. You know, the playing enchanters... Fundamentally, you are putting all your eggs into the basket of your carries, because you are enchanting, you are buffing, in essence, healing, buffing, whatever, those characters to make them stronger. And if they're not very good, well, that's your strength also kind of gone. I have been obviously said, you know, I've played a tiny bit of Lulu when she's available and it just makes sense. But like Renata is something that I've played a lot of, and a lot of people I've even seen in the comments going, God, I never would have thought Huz would be playing a decent amount of an enchanter support. Renata is an enchanter support. She's just a weird one. But why do I like Renata over pretty much every other enchanter? And I know this sounds bad. I've said it in a video several times. Renata is a more, and I still think the champion's a little bit overtuned. She's a really skill-based enchanter. That there's a difference, in my opinion, playing something like Renata or Nami. Like, there's a clear difference in my mind. But again, that is just purely my opinion, and there's not a right or a wrong in that. That is just feel. And feel is not wrong or right. Feel is, what do you feel? What do I feel? But yeah. Ricky the Rain Frog, thank you so much, dude, for 6 months of Prime. Thank you so much, dude, my dude, and thanks for the gifted subs today, man. It means a lot. But yeah, like, I don't know, just Renata feels a little bit skill-based to me. She still is overtuned, she still needs nerfs, but there's a difference, there's a big difference between a good Renata and an average Renata or a bad Renata. There's those little intricacies that champion can do that I think other enchanters can't. Next up, do I think Riot's new MMO will have some pay-to-win mechanics? We actually spoke about that earlier in today's stream, but that we are seeing much right now. So pay-to-win mechanics generally exist predominantly in free-to-play games because that's how they make their money. It's like, hey, you know, I think a good example is those World of Tanks kind of games. They're all free-to-play, but hey, if you spend this money and buy this ammo, well, suddenly you have better armor-piercing rounds that kill enemy tanks way faster. Pay-to-win mechanic. I'm hopeful that Riot is not going to do pay-to-win. The evidence to that is none of Riot's games in their portfolio, none of them are pay-to-win. Even the card game isn't pay-to-win. You get given cards like mad in that game. So I'm confident that Riot's ethos is not pay to win at all. Me and my chat had a conversation earlier about like, what do we think the MMO is going to be? Is it going to be free to play? Is it going to be subscription based? Is it going to be a one-off purchase and then you get it for free from then on? We don't know. All I will say, and I know this for some people, they won't like me hearing this, saying this, but I hope it's not free to play. I know free to play on average is really good because it opens up the broad spectrum of people who might not be able to afford a subscription base. And that, again, I wouldn't want to deny people games, but the more for an MMO, if it's free to play, it's more likely to be pay to win. That's the problem. Specifically, MMO genres are kind of like that. If it's subscription based, they don't need to do pay to win because they're making the money through the subscription. Hell, even it costs 30 quid or 50 quid or $60 to buy initially, and then it's free from then on, and then maybe you buy the expansions when they come out. That's the Guild Wars method. You again don't need to be fully or at all pay to win. I'm sure they're obviously going to do cosmetics. Riot does cosmetics in every single game they make. It's just whether they do subscription, free to play, etc. That's the level of like, will it be free to play or not? I don't think it's going to. For those that don't know, the dev team, I've looked into it because I'm very interested. Predominantly the dev team who are working on the game are from World of Warcraft Origins or Guild Wars Origins. That's the two biggest, largest dev groups that they've got. They do have obviously people from elsewhere also, but just the two biggest games that people have previously worked on are either World of Warcraft or Guild Wars. Neither of those games are pay to win, but they're also very different, which will be interesting to me. I don't think it's going to be an Asian style MMO. I think it will be Western because, again, it's being made in the West. Ghost Crawler's in charge. He did World of Warcraft as a Western MMO. So, yeah, I'm hopeful it won't be for pay to win, which is good. Right, next up. Are fundamentals more important than champion mechanics? Yes. Yeah. You have people in higher rating. Again, it depends what you value, obviously, but you have people in very high rating that don't have much mechanics, but their fundamentals are very good. Your fundamentals can carry, but the opposite is also true. You have people in high rating that their decision-making and fundamentals do not exist, but they purely have mechanics. That's pretty much the Korean server in a nutshell, is just mechanics. So both can carry you. To be an overall good player, you want both. You want to try and be well-rounded, but yeah. What did I think of the Star Guardian event? It was supposed to be a big summer event, but there was like nothing. Yeah, Riot events haven't been great for a while. I'm never massive into those type of events myself. I'm not into the visual novels or any of that stuff. So for me, they're never a big thing anyway, but I know some people have been disappointed about it. Which, again, I understand the disappointment. Riot used to do a lot more events. They used to do PvE modes and all that. They don't do it anymore. The reason why, partially, well, it's all to do with money. Unfortunately, that's just the sad thing about it, is Riot probably has worked out if we do a more basic event, we don't really lose out much money compared to doing a big event that costs more to do. That's fundamentally what it probably boils down to. They still make money. Next up is, what do I think about duo queue being entirely gone? And this is from Hawkey. Would that make flex queue more valuable? That was the idea that Riot pitched. So a few months ago, Riot made a whole article that we made a video about, and the whole idea that Riot is pitching, and again, they're still in the decision making about it, is predominantly is duo queuing has its issues with solo queue. You know, they've had to get rid of duo queuing in Master and above. They've actually now even had to get rid of MMR Master as well. So even if you're in Diamond 2 and you're duo queuing, but you've got Master MMR, you now can't even duo queue if you're in Diamond, but just with higher MMR. It has its issues, but predominantly what Riot said is that they do value flex queue, but they just think flex queue has its issues. And where flex queue has its issues is the most popular number to queue up as in flex is 3 people. So if they removed duo queue from solo queue and make it a pure solo experience, then the duo players go to flex queue. You have the most common flex queue group as 3, And it's very rare to go at the moment as a solo in flex mode, but then those duo players would then fill the gap of flex. So you'd have the most common queue as a 3, and then you'd have the 2s, the duos, and then you'd fundamentally increase flex's capacity, everything. And what Riot is hoping, if they do end up doing that, which again, we still don't know if they're going to do it, it would make solo queue a more competitive experience as a solo experience, and it would make flex a more competitive experience, but a more team experience. So you've got fundamentally the two aspects of League, the solo, the team, both covered, and that was fundamentally the idea. Again, I'm obvious, people know my opinion about it. I'm a pure, basically solo queue player on my main account, always have been, always will be. I think it would be good, but I know some people aren't. And you're no matter what you do, you're always going to upset people. You're always going to not make people happy. You can't have perfect decision making. So we'll see what Riot does. But to me, it would be interesting. You know, we've had the same pretty much solo queue format that allows duo queuing since the games existed. So to me, it would be interesting just to see what the pure solo experience is like. They've never done it before, pretty much. So to me, it would be just interesting to see. But who knows? Next up, and we're not going to go for too much longer. All right, Shmuel says, do I think as of recent League of Legends has been cast to the side despite being the main game of Riot? For example, the recent Star Guardian event has been a catastrophe. Riot refuses to update the world schedule despite modernizing the Valorant equivalent. The quality of skins, not their animations, more their staleness, has decreased. If so, why do I think that? I know that it has. So this is something that I have like a bit more insider knowledge here or there. But I've had conversations with Rioters, and they mentioned to me that basically very little Rioters play League nowadays. You know, I'm sure some Rioters do, obviously, but when they're in the office and they're seeing what people are playing, it's not League of Legends anymore. Apparently, the two most popular games that people are playing within Riot, that a Rioter of mine told me, was Valorant. That's like the really big one, or even Legends of Runeterra. That's what a lot of them play. They don't play League. So, which, am I surprised? You know, the thing that's worth knowing, you know, a lot of us, if you're watching this video, you probably absolutely love League of Legends. But for a lot of Rioters, it's just their job. You know, a lot of them are game devs that some of them didn't even play League before they began working for Riot. They don't have that absolute connection. It's their job. So they're going to play the game that they enjoy, and that necessarily isn't League of Legends. We all know League of Legends is a very stressful game to play anyway. So when they work on the game the whole day, would they want to go home and then play a stressful game? Probably not. So am I surprised that Riot is not fundamentally like completely on League of Legends? No, because Riot, I've always said they are a little bit like a puppy, that they get excited about one thing and then the new thing comes about and it's, oh my god, that new thing is the best thing in the world, and then another thing happens, oh my god, that thing is the best thing in the world. League of Legends is the old toy, you know, that's the thing. It's not the exciting new toy it once was. It's the old toy. It's the reliable old toy, but it's the old toy. And I think that's kind of just the way that League and Riot has kind of treated it. Is, we know it exists. You know it exists. It's going to stay around forever. We know it's going to stay around forever. We're going to work on other things. So, yeah. Right, where are we? Scrolling up and down and then losing my track. Do I believe, from Luki Yami, do I believe the durability update was a smokescreen to calm the players, given it is basically being reverted patch by patch? Yeah, 100%. Again, this is a lot about talking about dev meetings, but I've been in dev meetings and was just flat out told that Riot liked high damage. They didn't think the damage was too high. You know, a lot of them didn't. They have changed management around, you know, that's the thing is worth knowing, and they wouldn't do that, you know, if they didn't think they needed to. But a lot of the devs who are still there didn't think the damage was too high. So 100% it was more of a smoke screen, because just reminding people, the durability update, everybody wanted damage go lower, damage go lower. They didn't lower the damage. That didn't happen. They just made everybody a tiny bit tankier, but the damage didn't go down. And what Riot was pitching was, oh, it's the same effect. You know, if we reduce the damage, it's the same thing as the durability update. It's not, because the damage is still very high. And patch by patch, you know, I'm doing my patch note videos as I always do. They are making the game higher damage. They are doing damage buffs here or there. They are reducing tankiness of some champions. You know, that's what they're doing. So yeah, like, it's just what I think is happening, unfortunately, which is what I have said in some patch note videos. Where are we now? Probably a couple more, and that'll probably be it. Creeper says, would I consider playing other games on stream and upload them to your YouTube channel? Because I feel that many others and I would rather you'd have fun while streaming rather than have to push out League content and lose all my energy in just a few games. I'd like, you know, worth knowing, I still fundamentally really enjoy playing League of Legends. I do. Trust me, I would not drive myself mad enough. I like my life. We only live one life. I would not drive myself mad enough to do something I hate. Life is not worth it. I still like playing League of Legends. It is frustrating, but it always has been frustrating. You know, that's kind of what you sign up to. I don't want to stop playing League, but yes, I do wish I did have a bit more variety in me. But fundamentally, and I know I hate to kind of say it, but fundamentally, it's a numbers thing, you know. And to be fair, I've not tried to upload a different game other than League on the YouTube channel for a very long time. But when I'm streaming and, you know, when I'm playing League, we're over 400 viewers pretty much every single stream now. We're even peaking over 500 viewers when we play League sometimes. That's really cool and that's great. And when we have done other games, which we occasionally do, or I've got a Twitch bounty for something else, that drops to 200. That is pretty mentally tough as a streamer to kind of do that. You know, when you know, hey, I could just stream League and I get double the viewers, it is fundamentally mentally tough to kind of go and down. It's rough. So I'm not going to say no. I would like to do more variety. I think it is healthy to do variety, and I actually think variety helps even League of Legends to be better. I'm personally just kind of waiting for a game that really takes me to do variety, if I'm honest. Pabu Mafood says the Prison Architect series was on my YouTube channel and you rewatch that every now and then. I love doing that. Yeah, for those that are really old school viewers, I did do a Prison Architect series a long time ago. If you're a newer viewer, feel free to go watch that series and say what you think. I love doing other series. You know, I'm a gamer. I'm not just a League of Legends player. I play pretty much every genre of games. And I like playing other games. You know, I'm not bad at COD. We've been unbanned now, which is nice. I'm not bad even at racing games. You know, I play GT7 or Gran Turismo a little bit here or there. I like playing other games. Hell, with my friends, I'm playing Total War Warhammer or Civ. I'd like to bring more variety, but there just isn't that game that's, to me, obvious of like, ooh, that would be good. Maybe there are some down the line, but yeah. And fundamentally, you know, the type of player I am, it's in my spare time. I don't get me wrong. I like sitting on the couch, being lazy, playing God of War, a single player story game. That's great. But as when I'm streaming, I am a very competitive person and I love PvP games. And to me, I'm also a ranked player. So like, if I'm playing a game, I'm playing the ranked mode and I'm going for rank because that's just the way that I am. Which then instantly ups everything, ups the stress, it ups everything because that's just the pleb that I am. So if there is a game, let me know what potentially that could be. I will just say, and I have not done it yet, but I did download Valorant recently. I've not played it yet, but I did download Valorant. There is a rumor also with the new Call of Duty, which again, I am now willing to play because I got unbanned. But there is a rumor in Warzone 2, there's going to be a ranked mode. So that might be interesting as well. So who knows? But anyway, that is, I think, going to be it. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thanks if you're on Twitch chat and you joined in. That's awesome. But yeah, I like doing these Q&As. They're a bit more personal. And I know, you know, we're a bit more of a personal community than some on YouTube. But yeah. And Spoon just said you got banned on COD. How? It was a complete mistake. I'll tell the story very quickly before we end the video for those that didn't hear. But obviously, you play Warzone every now and then with my friends. Had a month break from Warzone. Played for 2 hours. 2 or 3 days later, I just go on battle.net, check, and I'm banned. I'm like, what? I've never cheated, never got anything dodgy on my computer. I literally play games for a living, and my whole thing is competitiveness, so why would I ever cheat in anything? Do an appeal to Activision, which you get 1 appeal, And I didn't take the appeal very seriously. It's worth knowing that, because I'm like, well, clearly it's a mistake. I'm just going to say, hey, this is clearly a mistake. I need to get unbanned. Thank you very much. Didn't get approved, got declined, and you're only allowed one appeal. So I'm now banned from COD, both Modern Warfare and Warzone. I could still play Vanguard, but Vanguard sucks. And I know I've not done anything wrong. So it took me a month, and I'm not even kidding, a month to kind of go through a couple contact channels. And this is the really sad thing. I'm pretty much only unbanned because I'm a content creator, that I managed to speak to the right people. And talking to the right people, they made the security team at Activision look at my situation again. If you're not a content creator, you wouldn't get that, which sucks. And upon looking at it again, they noticed the mistake that had been made, and I got unbanned. But that's the really sucky thing. Like, that's awful. If I'm only unbanned because I have a bit more of a voice than the average person, and I could speak to the right person at Activision, it really sucks for people who play COD, who got banned like I did, but don't have that voice. That's awful. And all I'm hoping is, what was told to me is, I'm the only in history of Warzone, the second permaban to get overturned. All I'm hoping is they saw the situation, they saw what happened to me, and they might have gone, oh snap, this has probably affected a lot of people, let's look into it. That's the only thing that I'm hoping, you know, they'll look into. And well, here's the thing. I'm currently thinking, because Ricky the Rainfrog just said, you know, what was the mistake? It was a mistake that was in no my doing. I didn't literally do anything. There was nothing I could do. It's nothing about how I played. It was nothing about my headshot percentage. It was nothing. They have asked me if I can say, if I can kind of keep it more quiet and not say this specific reason, which I know sounds bad. And some people even in Twitch chat were like, you know, why would you grant them that when, you know, it's a bad situation for them? I am actively thinking if I should just say it. Because, you know, when I was actually banned, I was actually in contact with some of the big Warzone channels, and I was talking to them about it, and a lot of them actually were being really nice. And I'm sure if they found out the reason why, hey, I got unbanned, but this was the reason I got banned, I'm sure a lot of them would be interested in it and probably want to report on it. But I think it would cause Activision a very big headache. But that's all I'll say for now, which I know some people will not be happy with, but I'll actively think about it and we'll go from there. But anyway, that's going to be the Q&A. If you guys did enjoy, as always, please do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the upcoming content. And again, thanks for the support, as always, everybody. I don't know when I'm uploading this, but obviously at the moment we got demoted from Master. In tomorrow's stream, we're going to be back on the main account. Today I wasn't, but tomorrow we'll be back on the main account, and we're going to try and get Master again as soon as we can. So probably streamlining the champion pool again, focusing up again, and yeah, getting back to that rank that I feel I deserve. And to end out, just finally, Button with 3 T's, thank you so much for the 15 months with Prime. So anyway, that's gonna be it. If you guys enjoyed, throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace. Call down the reckoning.